Hi guys, welcome back to World of Tanks with Only Gamer. Today we are having a look at this, the Tier 8 Chinese heavy tank, the 110, not the premium one, the standard. This thing is, well, it's a very good tank. It's, as you can see, it is very similar to the IS3, the Russian Tier 8, especially this pike nose. If we just have a look here, 1 second. You see it is very similar there. It plays very much like an IS3. If you can play an IS3 well, you can usually play this well. It is not quite as well armoured at the front with the angling, and the lower plate is a slightly more vulnerable target. But other than that, essentially this thing does play like an IS3. If you look at the survivability, it does have 120mm frontal hull armour and 201 in the turret. Compare that to the IS3, which is just a little closer, which has 110 on the hull, but 249 on the turret. So officially, on paper, the IS3 has worse hull armour than this, but the angling isn't quite so flat as such. So you, especially if you're not firing head on, then if you're firing at sort of that angle, or that angle, this tank is slightly easier to penetrate from the front. And the turret isn't quite as bouncy as the S3. Oh, but it is still very bouncy. From the front it is a very strong tank. Firepower, it has a Tier 9 gun, but it has a 100mm gun rather than the 122 that the IS3 gets. Reasonable rate of fire, 1 round every 10 minutes, 250mm penetration and 320 average damage. Slightly more accurate than the IS3, I believe, 0.38 and 2.9 second aiming time, whereas the IS3 gets 0.4 accuracy and 3.4 aiming time. So it's a lower caliber gun, it does fire slightly faster, slightly more accurate, basically identical penetration, slightly less damage. Manoeuvrability, this thing's not too bad. It's got a 40km/h top speed and 32 degrees reverse. If we compare that once again to its Russian counterpart, which has a 38km top speed and a 31 degrees reverse, on paper this thing is slightly faster, but the IS3 has a 14 horsepower per ton power to weight ratio. The 110 only has an 11.25, so it is a bit slower to get going. It's also a slightly taller tank, so you can't quite hide so much, but it does mean you can exploit more hull down positions than the IS3 can, because you are tall enough for your turret to poke over the top of things. When facing one of these, head on, aim for the lower plate. If you can get to that position or that position, you'll go through these a lot easier. Sideways, this here is spaced armour, but it's not that much of it, and the tracks do have a tendency to eat stuff, but the side of the turret here is relatively weak, and in the rear, turret, hull, whatever floats your boat. Other weak spots, these commander's cupolas up here, and this little viewing port just here. Well, that's a quick rundown on the tank. We'll now attempt to jump into a match and see if I can show you how this thing plays. Okay, so it's given us a Tier 8 match on Cliff, which is not too bad a map for this tank, and certainly not too bad a matchmaker. Looks like they've got an IS3, maybe a Lerva on the other side, SU-152, not sure what tanks are under that, and let's have a look, shall we? T-34, a couple of ball sigs. The ball sigs and the T-34 are dangerous tanks in this because they have enough penetration to get through the front. IS3 is, well, statistically they are a little different, but in reality they are very, very similar tanks. I've played head-to-heads, a 110 versus an IS3, playing both the IS3 and the 110. I've won in both, I've lost in both. A lot of it does depend, in a way, on RNGesus, depending whether or not he gives you enough penetration to get through the armour. So, I'm going to do the standard heavy tank thing. I'm going to go around the right hand side of this mountain with lighthouse on top. Try and stay out of line of fire of those enemy artillery, especially the GW Panther and the M4043, as those things are very nasty artillery, because if they manage to land a shot on your engine deck, it's likely to blow your ammo rack, potentially set you on fire, and do a lot of damage, because that engine deck armour is piddly. It really is very, very thin. I do apologise that I keep sniffing, but got a bit of an issue with my allergies today, but I'm still soldiering on and trying to provide you with content. So as you can see, this thing, although on paper it's got a 40 km/h top speed limit, I'm on the flat, not exactly overly rough terrain, and I am struggling. I'm getting there, but I am struggling to get there. It does take quite a while to build up speed. And the moment you turn or run into a tree, most likely, it loses speed quite majorly. So it doesn't look like many people are around here, which is good. It means we can push around, but it's also bad because it means as we get around this corner we are potentially vulnerable to artillery fire. But hopefully the artillery aren't here, and oh dear, there they are. There we go, T-34 straight through the frontal armour. However, that lever, I have no idea what it's doing, but it's going to get punished for it. I'm going to try and pull back here. I was going to try and pull back, but the T-32 decided he wasn't going to let me. So now I've got an IS-3 round here. Hit him in the lower plate, weak spot. And there's the T-34 around here as well. Together. Back, straighten out. Okay, I think we've won this side. Fortunately, this thing doesn't have great gun depression, so you can't really poke ridges in it that well. But we've won this side of the map, which is good, especially since we've taken out 3 of their tier 8s. So, time to try and push, and ooh, that hurt. Not much, thankfully, but it did knock out my vision device slightly. That, I'm not sure what that was. Got a few enemies up here. Oh, there we go. Issue 12244. And the Borsig got me in the side, but still, hopefully that did show you a little bit what this thing can do. It's well armoured from the front. I did come across some very nasty tanks there, but if we have a look, I did bounce a shot from the SU 12244, and that thing has a very nasty gun. And I have a feeling that we may win this. It's not guaranteed by any means, although they've now lost the Borsig. So I'd say it's probably relatively guaranteed that the team's going to win this, and having done over 1800 damage, I can safely say I helped. I could have possibly done more if I'd been a bit more cautious, but hopefully, regardless of the fact that I didn't do quite as much as I could have done. Oh dear, that's not good. I didn't do as much as I could have done, but I still did influence the outcome of the match. So, where are we? ARL 44, trying to line up on that artillery, I think. Another lovely tank that I'm going to be purchasing back and doing a review of soon. Ooh, that hurts. So what have we got here? SU-122S, I really am not sure what they're doing at the moment, as they could really do with being at the enemy base to try and help out, but que sera. They've only got the Baltic and a couple of artillery, so unless those guys get really lucky, I would say this is probably in the bag. Oh, there we go. There's one of the artillery. And that's why you should never fire a gun on an IS-3 when you're on the move. Not unless you're at that range. Yeah, they've got this now. So, hopefully that showed you what you can expect. I didn't play overly well, but I still managed to come out with nearly 1900 damage. Suiciding artillery there at the end. Nearly 1900 damage, a pretty good rating, and let's have a look at the results. That was only a third class mastery, unfortunately. But team score, damage wise, experience wise, top 5. Damage wise, I was third. Blocked 710 damage, and they were from quite high caliber guns. Fired 6 shots, hit with 6, damage with 6. As you can see, it's a very good tank. And if we have a look in here, statistically the rating was 1800 WN8 rating, which is a pretty decent rating. So that's the look at the Chinese heavy tank tier 8, the 110. Hope this is helpful to some of you, either some hints on how to play it. Just quickly, as with all my tanks, I stick large caliber gun rammer on it, and when I can afford it, vents. And this thing is very prone to ammo racking, so wet ammo rack would be my third suggestion. Ammo wise, mainly armor piercing, handful of high explosive, and just in case you get into tier 10 matches, a few APCR is always good. But hopefully this video has given you some ideas about the tank, ideas how to fight it, ideas how to play it, or how to avoid it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Have fun and take care playing whatever you're playing. If you did like the video, maybe please leave me a comment down below. Maybe pick another tank you would like to see reviewed on the channel. I'll just quickly scroll through them there. Any tank apart from the light tanks at the moment, I'm happy to review for the channel. Well, the low tier light tanks I will, but not the high tier ones, because I'm not a very good light tank driver. But leave me a comment down below, let me know what you think. Maybe hit the subscribe button, check out some of my other videos, whatever you want. But take care playing whatever you're playing, and I will catch you next time.